Hi, and welcome to another podcast of Crossing Borders. Today we have Jim Crowley with Assa Abloy, as well as Piet van der Bossche with Assa Abloy. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Stephanie, how are you?
It's great. Jim, since you started, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks. And thanks for inviting me to participate in this podcast. Jim Crowley, I'm the Director of EAC OEM Business Development in North America, which is a long way of saying I work with the electronic access control OEMs, the multinationals, and the domestic OEMs that are based in North America.
And Pete.
Hi, also thank you for inviting me here. It's a very exciting experience. So I'm located in Belgium and I work for Assa Abloy EMEA and business development access control. Actually I'm the counterpart of James in Europe here, and I work in the company since I'm one of the dinosaurs, so almost 20 years. So, and in the access control, I think I need to, yes, I'm almost 10 years active in access control.
Fantastic. So the reason why I invited the two of you together is I know that you support a global product for Assa Abloy, Aperio. Pete, can you explain exactly what Aperio is and how it works as a technology so people understand?
Yes, Aperio is a global technology, and it's actually made to be a part of an access control solution. So there is no own software behind it. So we integrate the product into third parties, application or softwares, as you call it. So we do integrations with the big OEMs, the global OEMs, and we do also a lot of integrations with the smaller players, the smaller regional players. So we behave ourselves as an on-wired reader.
Yep. And since I am familiar with Aperio, I understand the complications. So Aperio is the technology at the high level, but then it's talking wirelessly to different types of locks. So Jim, why don't you start with what that exactly means and the different types of locks?
Sure. So you're exactly right. Aperio is the technology that we leverage across a multitude of form factors globally. It's a wireless Zigbee protocol. It's IEEE 15.4, fully encrypted AES 128. But what's really neat about it is, like I said, we can leverage it across a multitude of form factors, some of which are driven by domestic requirements. So, you know, a door in North America has different requirements than a door over in EMEA in pizza part of the world. But it's also beyond just the door. Aperio has allowed us to really talk about openings more than doors. So we can put this technology in things like server rack locks, cabinet locks, wireless readers, and even glass mount locks. Now, not all of those are available globally, but based on the domestic market and the domestic demands, we can leverage those products across the globe. So it's a pretty interesting technology.
Can either one of you tell me or tell us how many numbers of different locks and manufacturers within the Assa Abloy family have integrated and are working with Aperio?
Yes, here in EMEA, it's a little bit less than in America. We have 5 different product groups, as James already mentioned. The lockers, we have a locker solution, we have a cabinet solution, a server rack solution, and then a normal cylinder solution. And then we have the high-level Abloy wireless lock solution and a simple handle solution. That's the products we are using here on this side of the ocean.
Yeah, in North America, in terms of brands, we've got Sargent and Corbin Russwin, which are based in Connecticut. And then we also have HES Securitron and Adams Wright, which are the brands that leverage Aperio. That organization is based in Phoenix. In terms of the number of locks, I believe it's around 9. got 3 different door locks. We've got the cabinet lock, the server rack lock, the wireless reader. We've got the glass mount lock, and then there's more always being developed. So that would be here in North America.
Right, we're definitely getting beyond the door in the access control world. It's not just the exterior door that we're now securing, it's interior doors, but like you said, server locks, and then how do you secure a glass door, and all these different types of things people want to secure with assets.
Yeah, what's really interesting too is that, as you said, historically access control is focused on securing the perimeter and maybe some really highly secure areas within a building. With these new wireless locking technologies, you can get access control on more doors and openings within the enterprise at a much more cost-effective price, because it takes less labor to install these locks. So that's another benefit of the Aperio technology.
And I think, James, and another difference between the EMEA part of the world and the Americas, in here we have also a lot of offline applications with Aperio. I think that's a big difference between the 2 regions.
You're right, Pete. We don't leverage the Aperio offline locks in North America. We have the online, real time online Aperio locks, which have a 10-second pulse, which means you can communicate with that lock anywhere between 1 and 10 seconds out of the box. You can also configure it at a 5-second interval, which means the longest it would take to communicate to that lock or to send an alarm would be 5 seconds. So it's effective real-time online application.
So as Pete described, that you need an access control system, which takes integration from access control manufacturers. How many globally are there that have integrated with Aperio?
Stephanie, as far as I know, we have around 120 integrations in different access control systems. Some of them are globally, some of them are local players. So as you know, in the region EMEA, we have a lot of small countries, so we have a lot of strong players. And overall, we have then, of course, the global players who are active in James's area and in my area.
So with these global players, like the global access control companies that have integrated, this is something that I'm understanding that the 2 of you need to work together to support, because you're, again, crossing borders and having to support them with different types of technologies, not technologies, but different locks and solutions. And what are some of the things you collaborate together, and what are some of the challenges the 2 of you have?
From my perspective, the technology himself, we are supporting together from both sides of the ocean. Here, the biggest challenge in EMEA is actually the door himself. So we need to give a lot of support on these OEMs, because as James already mentioned, there are so many different types of doors. When you look in my region here, when you have, as example, the Netherlands or Switzerland or France, they all have different door standards. So it's not easy to have the right product on the right door. So we need to train them also on the mechanical side. To give you an example, we have, I don't want to exaggerate, but we have around 800,000 part numbers here in the regions. So there are so many different lengths and thicknesses of doors. So, and that is for us actually the biggest challenge. So once, in my point of view at least, once the integration is done, we need to maintain the integration together with the global OEMs. And it depends a bit where the headquarters is. So James takes a big part of the cake over there, because most of the global players, they are located in America. Thank you for that, James. And when they're located here in my region, then I take the lead. And we have once in a while we have meetings together to see how we are proceeding with these OEMs and the integrations and the support I need.
Yeah, I think, one of the challenges kind of coming the other way across the ocean. So if we've got a large multinational that's based over in EMEA, or vice versa here in North America, sometimes there's different kind of mandatory requirements that need to make sure are part of an integration. And so we just need to make sure that we understand that we've done a good job certifying the integration. We understand what features are supported, which ones aren't, and then if there are some critical features that we need to have to service our market, we have to work collectively to make sure that those features are supported if we want to be able to sell globally. So sometimes that's a challenge. Yeah, I don't want to speak for Pete, but I know that some of these big global multinationals that are based here in North America, they want to conduct business a certain way. And again, I always say, my job is easy compared to Pete in terms of the number of entities I need to deal with. I've got the US and Canada, but I'm sure Pete could talk about the challenges in terms of the OEMs wanting to work and resell over in EMEA.
Yeah, that's right, James. The setup is completely different. So you are the lucky guy. When I look into my region, I'm responsible for more than 20 countries. That means all these big OEMs, they have local entities based in the local regions. And then we have the local Assa Abloy entities who are responsible in their regions. So I'm actually, how could I say, I'm a bit the glue between these companies. And of course, it's not a black and white situation. Once in a while, these OEMs, they try to purchase products in another region and so on. So I'm a bit the goalkeeper to keep everything on the right track. But the good thing about Aperio is the technology is the same everywhere. So that makes it a bit easier. But the way to the market is much different in EMEA as in America.
Absolutely. And then, of course, these companies that are wanting to purchase from one place, not just maybe just one place in general, you would think that there would be a way that works, but it's not just Assa Abloy that has that challenge. There's a lot of companies and the way entities are set up in different parts of the world. So that's a huge challenge for them as it is for you too. One great thing about Assa Abloy is, like you said, it's one technology. So it's not as if they have to integrate and keep up with different technologies for different parts of the world. It is one technology. And the other great thing with Assa Abloy is you take care of the certifications for your hardware in each of the regions in each of the countries, because that's also a huge challenge that when people manufacture their own hardware, such as their own boards and things, they have to get their own certifications, and you manage all of that for them, which is so life-saving for them and takes away so much time for them to just know that it's already done.
Yeah, we're happy to do so. It really, it's been a process, right? We've gotten better at doing that over the past, 10 years or so. It does take some staff to do that and some planning, but when it's not done, inevitably a customer will buy a lock for the one feature that wasn't integrated. And if you don't know that ahead of time, it causes a lot of heartache, on both sides. So it's definitely a worthwhile investment to get those certifications done.
Any other insight, challenges, or anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, maybe one of the challenges we have here, all these OEMs, they work, most of them at least, and I think the business model is also slightly different in America. So they work with, we call them system integrators. And one system integrator can sell more than one access control system. So one system integrator can sell more than one Aperio product or one brand. So it's for us a challenge, as I said before, to keep them in good shape in regards to technology, in regards to support, in regards to installing on the doors, the products installing on the doors, I want to say. So for us, the biggest challenge is actually to find out who is the man, who is the woodworker? Because when we have breakdowns, 90% of the breakdowns are based on bad installation. So, and that's really a challenge for us because we don't know, we know our customer and we know our system integrator and we know our OEMs, as we call them, but we hardly find out who is really doing the work on the door. And that's for us really a big challenge.
Well, and that does lead into certifications. So, Jim, I know that in the US, there are certifications for installers.
Yeah, exactly. So we go to market in a similar fashion. We sell our locks to the OEMs, and the OEMs resell them to what we call CI, certified integrators. So in order to install and resell our locks, the integrator needs to go through a certification process, which is a combination of some online training and some hands-on training, actually coring a door and mounting the lock and, pairing it to an Aperio hub. So, sometimes there's some confusion around that when we bring a new OEM on. They assume that because that their VAR or their dealer is certified in their particular technology, that's enough. And we have to remind them, no, they need to be certified in your technology, but they also need to be an Assa Abloy certified integrator as well. And oftentimes, some of the larger integrators have both certifications, but we definitely need to make sure that happens because again, when it doesn't, we want to have the customers to have the best experience possible. When all the certifications are in place, that increases that probability significantly.
I think that's definitely where Pete is jealous of you because of the certifications and the installations. Because as he says, majority of the problems with the products once they're installed is somebody installed them incorrectly because they didn't know what they were doing. So in EMEA, I know you go to market completely different, Pete. Can you kind of give a description on that so people can understand how it's much different?
Yes, the big difference in regards to what James is doing. So as James said, he's selling to the OEMs, the owner of the platform. So, and here in EMEA, you have two channels, or we sell to the OEMs directly, but we have also OEMs, they don't sell the product. So they just deliver the access control system and they live from the license fee. And they hand over the product, or they ask us at least to hand over the product to a system installer, we call it. And it depends on the project. It can be, for each product, it can be somebody else or another company. It's a lot of business here is done by tendering processes, and that's fine. So you never know who will be your partner in crime for the next building. So and that makes it really a challenge for us. So we have, of course, dedicated installers and so on, but it's a chain with subcontracting and so on here in the region. So that's slightly different. So as I said before, it's very hard to get control on the way to the market. Here it's the OEM who decides the way Aperio goes to the market, or directly through the OEM, or as I said before, through a system installer or system integrator, we call them. So this is a challenge. So with Aperio in EMEA, you have never a dull moment. Every project is another project.
Exactly.
I should also add too that this past year we have added Aperio to our wholesale channel. It's a limited number of SKUs because there are some I guess I'd call them kind of the mid-tier OEMs that don't want to resell the locks. They want to sell their controller boards. They want to sell their software licensing, but they don't want to have anything to do with locks. So in those cases, they can direct their customers to go and purchase some Aperio locks through wholesale. But then you still need a certified integrator to hang it on the door. But, we have
absolutely.
That's a good example, James. So here in EMEA, you will never find Aperio in the wholesale channel because Aperio standalone, it does not work. So for in my region at least, it does not has any value to the wholesale channel. For them, it's just an empty box, as if you know what I mean. So we go, as I said before, through the OEM channel or the system integrator channel. That's a completely different approach.
I also don't think people realize how complicated locks can be. I didn't until I worked for Assa Abloy. How complicated, how many different options and finishes and all these different things. As you said, you know, you can have thousands of SKUs just by changing one little thing. And
Yep.
then even from the Netherlands to Sweden, where I live, the locks just don't work. You have to have a lock made for the Nordics. And it just,
Yep.
it's very complicated.
And this is the thing actually, that these OEMs, they don't understand it always, because they think a door is a door, and a door in America is completely different as a door in Europe. So, and then we have, as I said before, in every region other standards, and that's based on historical backpack. So when you go around here in EMEA, you will find historically small factories who are still constructing mechanical lock cases, and they built up the standards in their country. So, and that's still valid. So we have millions of doors. So to get a standard in EMEA, I think that will never happen. So that's I think that's also much better in America. I think there is less different doors, and there's different possibilities.
Well, that may be the case, but I can assure you we have just as many part numbers and SKUs, and that's a challenge for our OEM partners for sure. You know, when we bring on a new OEM partner, we try to use the 80-20 rule in terms of providing them with part numbers. But, you know, again, inevitably, you know, on the first PO we get, there'll be a few part numbers that aren't included on that in their system. So, and depending on the OEM, it takes a certain amount of time to get those part numbers in the system so they can be ordered. So that's, you know, it's wonderful we have all these options, but that is a bit of a challenge for the OEMs to manage in terms of the number of part numbers.
Absolutely.
The good thing about Aperio is, sorry, Stephanie, it's a global technology, so that makes us strong again. So once an OEM did the integration, it's valid for the complete world. That makes it for them much more easy, and there we are quite exceptional, honestly.
And we're talking specifically about North America and EMEA, but I also know that there are locks in Australia that now support Aperio, and now Assa Abloy companies within Asia are also doing the same thing. Because again, you've got the complication of different types of doors and locks throughout the world, so you need support of those different types of products.
Yeah, that's sure. And the same technology goes into, as James said, from Canada to Brasilia to China. It's everywhere the same technology. So our global customers, they are active in all these regions, or in most of all these regions. So we have a very challenging job to support the right product on the right door. And that's, as I said before, never a dull moment.
Yeah. As Pete said, that's the beauty of it. You know, you could have a a global multinational customer in North America or in Europe that decides that they want to standardize on Aperio, and they can do that because you know, as Pete said, the technology goes into locks all over the world, and they can in fact standardize on it. So I think that is you know, that makes us unique in the marketplace.
Absolutely.
And I think also strength is, so in regards to reading technology, the fact that we are having a global technology, we can make customer, how you call it, customer-made reading technologies. So based on historical things that happened in the past, we can fulfill most of the requirements from the customer in regards to reading technology. So we make tailor-fit reading of cards and so on and so on. So.
But you two definitely have your work cut out for you. It's definitely challenging and interesting. Anything else you'd like to add?
I guess I really couldn't ask for a better business partner than I have in Pete in terms of working with somebody over in EMEA. He's a wealth of knowledge and a lot of fun to work with. So you know, while it is a bit crazy at times, it's nice knowing that I can just pick up a phone or send an email and I know Pete will respond right away. So it's hopefully he feels the same way about me.
James. Of course, I'm more than happy. And honestly, since we work together since a couple of years now, the collaboration also with the big OEMs is getting better and better. So they know they can lean on us on both sides of the ocean, and they are more than happy with the support they get from us. So, and James and myself, we have regular contacts and we share information.
Yeah.
And that's something that in the past did not happen. So we have still a long way to go, but I think overall we have happy customers.
Exactly.
That's what it all comes down to. Well, thank you guys for joining, and keep on selling.
It was my pleasure.
Thanks for having us, Stephanie.
Bye.